and irrevocably changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Today, a year later, as you can see from this live helicopter shot, the rebuilding well underway, but not all of the scars have been removed. People still assessing Hurricane Andrew's physical and emotional costs. Good morning, America. I'm Charles Gibson.
And I'm Joan Lennon. It is Tuesday, August 24th, and on this first anniversary of Hurricane Andrew's savage journey through South Florida, we are going to revisit an area of South Dade County where we first saw, it was right after the storm ripped through there, and we met some families, two families that are just beginning to pull themselves back together now. In a few minutes, we will see how far they've come during this past year. Meanwhile, Spencer Christian continues his vacation this morning, but we will be joining us. He's going to be with us tonight, though, for the primetime special. Did we tell you that we have an evening edition?
Oh, I don't think we
Good Morning America. It's on at
times.
10 p.m. Eastern Time, I believe 9 p.m. Rockies Central Time.
Right.
I got that.
Okay.
Anyway, and Tracy Butler is still with us here from our ABC affiliate, WRIC-TV. That's in Richmond, Virginia.
That's
nice to have you
exactly
here.
right.
What's it look like on the map?
Well, as a matter of fact, you know, we were talking about Hurricane Andrew this morning. There are a couple of things we're watching in the Atlantic right now, and I will be telling you some hurricane facts throughout hurricane country throughout this hour. Charlie?
Thanks very much, Tracy. Also in this half hour, as you may know, the government has opened its archives and poured out nearly 1 million pages of documents relating to the 1963 assassination of John Kennedy. Those papers could provide a field day for conspiracy theorists, indeed create a whole new generation of theorists who no doubt will comb through the piles of secrets and speculation looking for a document that convincingly proves their theory one way or the other. In a few moments, we'll go to the National Archives for an update on what these Kennedy papers might show. But right now, Bob Jameson in for Morton Dean has the news of the day. Bob?
Morning, Charlie. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, everyone. The United States is sending more troops to Somalia. Officials say 400 members of an elite Army Ranger unit will be sent there this week. They'll reinforce a 1,200-member quick response team that's already in Somalia. Officials say the deployment has been in the works for several weeks because of the continuing violence in Mogadishu. Most recently, Sunday's attack that wounded 6 Americans. In Bosnia, fierce new fighting is reported between Croats and Muslims in the city of Mostar this morning. But the Croats have told the United Nations they'll allow a food convoy to get through today to Mostar, where 55,000 Muslims are reported close to starvation. ABC's Hal Walker reports.
The 19-truck United Nations convoy, stalled for so long in Metkovic, still faces major hurdles before delivering its 130-ton cargo of relief to the besieged Muslim enclave in Mostar. People in the divided city are said to be facing starvation within days if the supplies of food and medicine do not get through. Mostar is roughly 50 miles away. It is a major point on the supply route between the Bosnian coast and Sarajevo to the northeast, along roads made nearly impassable by months of heavy fighting. Croat forces control most of the territory in between, as well as the western half of the city and the hills overlooking the Muslim east side. A small convoy reached the Muslim sector last Saturday for the first time in 3 months, but it carried only a tiny quantity of medicines. Conditions in the city were described as appalling. Once inside Mostar, it is expected that the convoy will be required to share the foods and medicines with the Croats as part of the price for permission to cross over to the Muslim side. Another condition will be that the empty vehicles be used to bring out the corpses of Croatian fighters. They will not be able to bring out the wounded, either military or civilian, who continue to receive only meager medical treatment in the most unwholesome and unsanitary conditions. Negotiations are continuing to allow a later evacuation of the sick and wounded, but the first priority is to deliver the food and medicine that are so desperately needed. Hal Walker, ABC News.
In Los Angeles, police are confirming that Michael Jackson is part of an ongoing criminal investigation. But neither the police nor Jackson are revealing why. Jackson is in Thailand, where tonight he kicks off his latest world tour. A spokesman in Bangkok confirms LA police searched the singer's 2 California homes during the weekend. In Detroit this morning, defense lawyers are promising to appeal the murder convictions of 2 white police officers accused in the death of black motorist Malice Green. As ABC's Jim Hickey reports, the verdicts prompted emotions in and out of the courtroom.
The 2 former Detroit police officers were convicted by 2 separate juries in the same court. Walter Budson, who'd been a policeman for 19 years, barely reacted when the court clerk read his verdict, guilty of second-degree murder. But his former partner, Larry Nevers, a 24-year police veteran, was obviously distraught, even before he heard his verdict.
Nevers' jury finds the defendant guilty, murder second degree.
Nevers had testified that he had hit Malice Green last November only out of self-defense when he thought the man was trying to grab his gun. Green, a 35-year-old unemployed steelworker, was hit repeatedly with heavy flashlights in this neighborhood known for its drug traffic. Although Detroit police have come under fire because of the incident, prosecutors tried to draw a distinction between the police department and the murder.
We have a good department. I don't want that to get lost in any of this.
Judge George Crockett ruled that a third officer, Robert Lesnow, was not guilty of assault. The judge also allowed Nevers and Budson to be released pending their sentencing because of the tensions in this case.
The imprisoning of them at this point might prove to be dangerous to them.
That angered some people in Green's neighborhood. They wanted the convicted former policemen who face possible life in prison to begin their sentences now. Jim Hickey, ABC News.
2 convicted killers were put to death this morning in California and Texas. There were protests against capital punishment outside the prison at San Quentin, but inside, serial killer David Mason died in the gas chamber, the second California execution in 25 years. And in Texas, Ruben Canto became the 12th convict executed in that state so far this year. Cantu maintained until the end that he was innocent of shooting and killing a San Antonio man. And 1 year ago today, Hurricane Andrew roared ashore in South Florida. It left behind 41 deaths, $30 billion in damage, and the state of Florida, as well as homeowners, facing an insurance crisis. Here's ABC's Richard Gisbert in Miami.
For the Ventimiglia family, the walls are coming down, and a demolition crew is finishing what the hurricane started a year ago. For this family, Andrew was more than a hurricane. It was a learning experience about insurance.
We know the first thing we do before you buy a policy is read it. Find out what it doesn't include.
The Ventimiglias thought they had total coverage. Andrew will still cost them $50,000.
Insurance companies say they lost billions on Hurricane Andrew. They say it could happen again tomorrow. Some carriers are trying to limit their liability by dropping current policyholders and turning away new customers.
Initially, the companies wanted to drop 844,000 policies, 1 in 5 Florida homeowners. When the state government objected, the industry proposed an extra 25% premium on property insurance sold in Florida to create an emergency fund. The state has doubts about the plan and will make its own proposals next month. One way or the other, homeowners will pay more.
Our economy will not work without homeowners insurance. You cannot get mortgages, there won't be homes built, you can't buy or sell a home.
For now, Florida has a moratorium on insurance carriers, preventing them from not renewing policyholders. A year after the hurricane, homeowners are looking for answers, and so far there are none on the horizon. Richard Gisbert, ABC News, Miami.
And that's a look at the news. Here's Joan and Tracy.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. As we mentioned, Spencer Christian is vacationing, and we are joined this morning again by Tracy Butler. Nice to have you here. What do you got on that map?
Well, actually, we have some chilly temperatures again in the Pacific Northwest, so brace yourselves for another chilly one today. Pacific Northwest going to see highs only in the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s at best. Now, take a look at the nation's midsection. Wow, really heating up in the 90s. All the fact for you, 44 million people live in hurricane-prone areas along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. That's some hurricane facts for you right now. A look at your local forecast.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Zafino. It's 51 degrees out there. Chilly morning. We have scattered clouds. It's 44 out in Hillsborough with a little bit, skies a bit clearer out that way. The coldest air with this system is over us right now. We have high pressure behind it. The cold air is going to begin to move on off through eastern Oregon and into the Rockies. And as this high pressure follows in its wake, we're going to see improving weather. But there's still a good chance for a sprinkle today, especially over the Coast Range or the Cascades, or here in the valley, it's a possibility. Our high today, 70.
And in our next half hour, a tropical update for you. Charlie?
Thanks very much, Tracy. It's 10 minutes now after the hour. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, as Mort mentioned during the news, as Tracy was discussing, it was a year ago today that Hurricane Andrew slammed into South Florida. 1 month after the storm hit, I visited a particularly ravaged area in Dade County called Country Walk. At that time, I spoke with several of its residents, and I drove through its streets. It really doesn't make much difference which cul-de-sac you drive up. You're going to see the same kind of damage. Roofs gone in some cases, as in that house there, or this one. Interestingly enough, this was not in the evacuation zone. People here were not told to get out of their homes. Now here's the exact same cul-de-sac, same houses nearly a year later, and as you can see, there's still quite a lot of work to be done. Many houses still awaiting repair, although you see cosmetic improvement. Other houses may look fine from the outside, but inside they remain gutted. Most families have not yet been able to move back. Several houses are for sale. One of the families I spoke with last September was the Feldmans. Lisa and Mitch had waited out the fierce storm, huddled inside a closet with their 9-month-old baby Matthew.
It was terrifying because you were just so scared that the house was going to fall down around you and what you would do if that happened. You were just trying to protect yourselves. You didn't care about anything else.
John and Lola Hartford live up the street from the Feldmans. Last fall, John was concerned about the rebuilding process.
This is a nightmare, basically, because the devastation here is basically equivalent to 10 years of construction in Dade County.
You going to rebuild?
Absolutely. My insurance company was great, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to expand the house, and it's going to be better than ever before.
It's a year later. The rebuilding continues. The Feldmans say they may have to wait another year before their house is done. The Hartfords, on the other hand, hope to move in next month. And with us now from the Feldmans' home in Country Walk for an update on life post-Andrew are the Hartford family, John, Lola, and John Jr. Also with us, the Feldmans, Mitch, Lisa, and little Matthew. Good to have you all back with us. You all look well, even though the houses aren't done yet. Mitch, I noted that the Hartfords are well ahead of you. How come? Why is it taking you so long to rebuild?
Well, we have totally decided to rebuild a totally different house, and we had to go through permitting process, also ripping up the slab, and a lot more was involved.
You got enough insurance money, though, to do that, to rebuild a new house?
Well, they would pay, we had to pay some out of our own pocket, but we felt like we wanted to go back with block versus the wood frame construction again. We don't want to go through this again.
No more wood down in that area, huh?
No.
John, rate the rebuilding process for me. How smoothly has it gone, bureaucratically and in terms of getting a builder, supplies, etc.?
Well, as we mentioned last year, the shortage of materials was very severe in the beginning, and of course, you had to wait in line at the various stores to get materials. The devastation here is incredible in terms of, they've hauled away enough garbage and debris to fill the Orange Bowl 277 times. So you can imagine the magnitude of the reconstruction and the time associated with that. It's going to be many years before it's back to normal.
I remember all the debris that littered the streets when I was down there in September. We're looking at a live helicopter shot from your area right now, and obviously all that debris is gone. Lola, let me ask you, was the rebuilding harder or easier long-term than you expected?
Much harder. I never thought it would take this long. We've been going through a lot of very frustrating times.
Well, is it mostly because of the delays that John talked about, or other factors?
Yes, those delays, and the county has made a lot of very stringent rules now, so it's a lot harder to get finished quickly.
Yeah, those delays in terms of getting materials, etc., and getting a builder, they still exist, John? I mean, even a year later?
Well, yeah, I think it's probably getting worse now. The county is enforcing the codes right down to the letter, and it's discouraging a lot of construction companies to go through that bureaucracy, and a lot of the out-of-town companies have left or are in the process of finishing whatever they're doing and leaving. So the quantity of contractors is certainly diminished dramatically, so that's going to stretch it out further.
Lisa Feldman, as you talk to your neighbors, are most people down there rebuilding because they want to, or because you just can't get a buyer if you want to leave?
I think it's pretty much 50-50 at this point. I've seen a lot of people sell, and there were people buying, and I've seen a lot of people rebuild also.
Where are you all living, by the way? Where are you living in the interim?
We're living with my mother-in-law up in Kendall Lakes.
Still a little crowded?
No, she has actually quite a big house.
Oh, she does. Okay. Johnny, let me ask you, is the new house going to be much different than the old one?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot bigger.
A lot bigger?
Yeah.
And better. The Feldman said they're not going to go with any more timber frame. It's going to be a cinder block. How about your house? Is there changes because of the storm?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Lola Hartford, well, what changes have you made?
Well, it's a lot stronger. Everything is double strapped, double walled. We've made a storm shelter in our master closet. So it's a lot stronger overall.
You've got a storm shelter to go to. Johnny, are most of your friends still around, or have some left the area?
Mostly all of them left. I don't know anybody who lives here now.
Is that right? So,
Yeah.
So a whole new crowd of people, huh?
Yeah.
And how about Matthew? He rode the storm out and slept through the whole thing. Has he been traumatized at all, Mitch?
Not at all. He's pretty awake today, though.
He is indeed awake, if for no other reason than we've got that helicopter circling overhead that I can hear. Well, thank you all for being with us. Good luck to you, and we'll check back to see how it goes. Hartford's, Feldman's, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Best to all of you. Good to see you again down there just a year ago. 16 minutes after the hour. Next, the Kennedy assassination. What's in that treasure trove of new documents released by the government yesterday? We'll check into that when Good Morning America continues.
Bust.
19 minutes after, prepare for another round of books on the assassination of John Kennedy, because yesterday the National Archives made public for the first time an estimated 900,000 pages of documents relating to the Kennedy assassination. This was required by a 1992 law. Joining us from the National Archives in Washington and surrounded by some of those documents is JFK archivist Stephen Tilley of the National Archives. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning.
You want to give us a little bit of a sense of what these documents are, where they came from, and where they've been all these years?
Well, the collection that's been opened out by the National Archives is made up of two sets of documents. Some of the documents were already here at the archives, such as the Warren Commission records and the House Select Committee records. Other records came in from the Central Intelligence Agency and several other government agencies within the last week.
Now, they were made public because of the JFK Assassination Records Act of 1992, but does that mean that the entire record is now available, or are there exceptions that allowed some agencies to withhold a few papers?
No, the law allowed agencies to postpone the disclosure of certain documents that met certain criteria under the Act, and agencies are postponing records at this time. Those postponements, however, will be reviewed by a presidential review board, which will be set up probably in the near future.
I think you said there are about 900 boxes, 1,000 or so documents in each box, but could you point to something, give us an idea? What's one of the more interesting papers?
Well, the one document that caused a great deal of interest was a report that was written by the House Select Committee on Assassination staff on the activities of Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico City in the months preceding the assassination. And the National Archives was asked by the House to specifically expedite the processing of that document, and that document was released yesterday with some portions deleted, but a great deal of information was released.
So these exceptions allow some portions to be deleted so as what, to protect perhaps agents?
Protect information that still needs to be protected under national security, such as agents' names or perhaps intelligence methods or procedures.
But that was the report that showed him going, what, to the Soviet embassy and the Cuban embassy down there seeking visas, I believe, right?
That's correct, yes it is.
Yeah. I know the archives are responsible for cataloging and storing all this material and not for actually investigating the assassination, but do you think that we're going to have any big surprise here, any smoking gun?
Well, it's very hard for me to say because we try not to get involved in making categorizations about records, but what this new information does is to fill in a lot of gaps in the history of the assassination, and there's a great deal more information available for the first time now, and it's going to take serious researchers a long time to sift through this and really come to some grips with what this all means.
And of course some of it is speculative, and that would lead us to assume that there's going to perhaps be a new round of books, a new round of theories.
Well, I think so. I think there are a couple of new books that simply have been published recently, and I think there may be more writings now about the assassination. Certainly there's been a renewed interest in the assassination within the last year.
We're saying here this morning that it's been made public. If somebody from the public wants to come and see these, what do they do?
Well, they simply come to the National Archives building here in Washington and get a research card, and then once we get them into our research room, we will make available the finding aids that we have, which will tell them what's available, and then we simply serve up the records to them, and they're allowed to take a look.
So call now